Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for June 2022. So on Friday, June 3rd, we have Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, of communication, and how it is that we express ourselves, going direct, coming out of its retrograde at 26 degrees in Taurus. So let's review. First of all, we got to go back to when Mercury first entered into Taurus on April 10th. This was pre-eclipse season. We got a little bit of time to focus on where it is that new ideas needed to come forth, where new perspectives needed to be formed, where we need to focus in on our goals, what it is we wanted to build, what it is that we wanted to create. Of course, we entered into Taurus season on April 19th. That should have been the green light go ahead for us to go ahead and roll our sleeves up and start building these new elements, these new foundations in our lives where our own relationship with ourselves, our self-love, our self-worth, our self-value was concerned, where our relationship dynamics with other people's were concerned, where new routines, new resources, new financial situations should have popped off because we had some new long-term ideas that we wanted to turn in to something physical in order to provide us with the safety and the security that we now realize that we were lacking. Mercury moved into Gemini, into its place of power on April 29th, on the same day that Pluto, the great transformer, went retrograde in Capricorn. So Mercury being in its place of power in Gemini definitely added some pressure in the mental plane. We were faced with different decisions, different choices, different ideas, different paths, different timelines. We were definitely kind of caught up in the visual of what it is that we needed to figure out, what new elements we wanted to bring to life. There was a lot of thought processes, a lot of narrative breakdowns that were taking place. And with Pluto adding to this retrograde energy, this was an inner examination of where it is that we've given our power away in the past, where it is that we stunted out in bringing new ideas to the forefront because of our negative ass narratives, our self-destructive, self-sabotaging thought processes and narratives that we've been conditioned in that we were having a hard time breaking. Of course, this all happened before we entered into eclipse season. That new moon solar eclipse in Taurus definitely kicked the chaos off, definitely kicked off that wild card energy. We were at the mercy of the universe. Of course, eclipse season is all about seeing different elements get removed from our lives to create a space for new elements to be born and birthed into. Did it feel good? No. Was the chaos and the confusion absolutely necessary? Yes. But here's the thing. Mercury went retrograde in its place of power in Gemini at 4 degrees on May 10th, the same day that Jupiter moved into Aries. This was the first time that Jupiter's been in Aries for 12 years. This was essentially an opportunity for us to grow, for us to expand, to cut the cord with old systems, old cycles, old parts of us in order to embody a brand new chapter, brand new cycle, a brand new perspective, a brand new reality. But of course, we didn't get off to the greatest start. Why? Well, Mercury was retrograde, and we were in eclipse season, and Jupiter's energy was a little bit held back. Why? Because we have to look back, review, reflect, recalibrate, revise, re-edit before we can move forward to bring new elements to life. We have this full moon, total lunar eclipse in Scorpio at 25 degrees, which absolutely rocked us, illuminated the shadow elements, illuminated what needed to die in our lives, what endings needed to take place in order for us to have the space in order to build something new. Did we get to build something new? No, not quite yet. Why? Because of retrograde season. But here's the thing. We entered into Gemini season on May 20th, really putting the pressure in our mental plane to choose, to decide what it is that we were going to do. Eclipse season threw us curveballs, threw monkey wrenches into our plans, totally disrupted our lives, added this layer of chaos and confusion on top of the normal layer of chaos and confusion that comes when planets are retrograde. And then we were given a choice. Were we able to make a choice? Absolutely not. Why? Because we still had some review and reflection to do. May 22nd, Mercury retrograded out of Gemini energy, crept back into Taurus. This is kind of where we put the blinders on, where we had to go back and reflect over all of the things that transpired since April 10th. Why? Because that's when Mercury moved into Taurus. Why? Because that was pre-eclipse season. With Mercury being retrograde, it's almost like he's drugged, like he's in this unconscious drug spiral where things from our unconscious selves are coming up, where, truth and information and details rise to the surface for us to face the ugly truth of our realities the way that they are and not the way that we desire them to be. In this time, since Mercury crept back into Taurus, we put the blinders on. We're trying to figure out, oh my goodness, what dreams did I have? What ideas did I have? What kind of aspects was I trying to bring to life that I failed to do? Well, Mars took his place of power in Aries. This bumped us up in the physical energy, the drive, the passion that we have, where we had to tap into a new boldness, a new bravery to not let the funk get the best of us. Mars now in his place of power is pushing us to tap into that spiritual warrior, to not let our past experiences, our past emotions, our past memories keep us down. Again, Pluto is still retrograde while all this is happening, helping us to redefine where it is that we've given our power away in the past because of our negative and destructive self-sabotaging narratives, and where it is that we are not willing to make those same mistakes. So now Mars is kind of lighting a fire in our soul space, in our head space, in our physical bodies to go ahead and take action. And Mars and Jupiter, now teaming up in Aries, is just this huge desire, this huge push, this huge surge of energy to cut the cord with the past, to put the blinders on and only focus on the future. We had Venus, the feminine divine energy, to Mars's masculine divine energy, take her throne in Taurus energy. This is a game changer. Why? Because we're focused on the here and now. What do we have control over in the here and now? Where can we find stability, peace, balance, harmony, joy, happiness, love in the current circumstances, even though the current circumstances aren't that comfy, aren't that pleasurable, aren't that satisfying? We have to learn how to be present. We have to find the attitude of gratitude. We have to focus on what it is we actually have control over in the here and now and make peace with our current circumstances while we're actively trying to build new circumstances. Of course, we just had the new moon in Gemini on the 30th of May at 9 degrees. This did definitely set the tone for moving into June, which, if you haven't listened to the June intro forecast, I'm going to recommend you do that. Brings us a whole different set of life lessons that we're going to be focused on, and bringing us up to June 3rd, where Mercury goes direct in Taurus at 26 degrees. This rewinds us to April 26th, when Mercury was at 26 degrees in Taurus. We have to reflect. We have to review. This is where essentially Mercury wakes up from his drunken, drugged slumber. We start putting the pieces together. We are going to see aha moments, connections, details now emerge that are going to make a whole lot of sense to us now that maybe didn't over the last month or so. We are going to see why certain situations had to pop off in the way that they did, especially through eclipse season, in order for us to be in this present moment, to have this current understanding, this current perspective, this current emotion, this current perspective and path and purpose and mission on where it is that we want to go from here. Keeping in mind, it's a very slow process. Taurus energy is low and slow. We have the blinders on. We have tunnel vision. We have to focus on these little bits and pieces of information and details creeping back up that we may have missed while Mercury was retrograde. Things are going to start making a whole hell of a lot of sense. We are going to be gaining a whole lot of insight and clarity. Now, this may come from the not so nice realizations of the review, the reflection period that we're now kind of coming out of because Mercury is now direct. And again, as I've been mentioning, sometimes the greatest form of clarity comes from realizing what it is that we don't want, what it is that we need to move away from, what direction we need to disconnect from in order to align with the new path, the new wants, needs, and desires and goals that we're now kind of inspired to pursue. Now, Mercury will be in a post-shadow period for about 2 weeks. That's how long it takes for Mercury to kind of shake off the drugs, let's say, for Mercury to kind of get his bearings, get back up full speed. Now, on June 13th, we will have Mercury re-enter into Gemini energy. This is, again, us retracing our steps to that 4th degree that Mercury was at before he fell asleep at the wheel, essentially. So Mercury gets to move back into his place of power again. And this time it's full speed ahead. It's clarity, it's ideas, it's communication, it's just pure understanding. And once we kind of bust out of the post-shadow period, things are going to rapidly take form. Things are snapping together, decisions are being made, choices are being made, options are being taken advantage of, directions are being anchored in. And now that we have Mars and Jupiter in this fire energy, in this initiating energy of Aries, you best believe that those two are ready to pop off and make up for lost time. We just need to get our mental perspective, our mental narrative in alignment with our heart space, because of course our heart and our head have to agree before the physical body can engage in taking action and making moves to actually aggress ourselves in pursuing the new passions, the new desires, the new ideas, the new direction, the new path that we have now chosen to take. So we're going to have to be a little tiny bit patient, but spend this time really analyzing all of the things that popped off, all the things that took place, recognizing how that changes your perspective, your understanding of the experiences that you had in the past, and how that positions you in the present moment to take a different course and make different moves and moving forward. June, again, listen to the Astro Forecast intro, is a month where we reorganize, restructure all the things that kind of fell apart, that were crazy, that were chaotic through the month of May. May was always meant to deeply transform us, again, circling around the lessons of 5, cracking that heart chakra wide open to make us raw, to make us vulnerable, to get back to the bare basics of what it is that we actually love, what brings us happiness, what brings us joy, where it is that we want to now pour our time, energy, love, and attention into. And June is going to help us kind of rebuild our identities, our narratives, our energy, our physical circumstances that are now going to become the solid foundation that we need to be in place, to be tough enough to stand the test of times, to start actively building upon that. Mars and Jupiter is very eagerly sitting, not so patiently, on the sidelines, waiting to be activated, to make up for lost time, to actively take action and make moves in our physical realms to start rearranging our physical circumstances that have popped off, created a little bit of mess, and here we are now in June, ready to clean that mess up.